Hey there, folks. How you guys doing today? Today, I thought I'd give you take it a little different perspective as I was sending my daughter off to school as we were waiting for the bus. So, real quick, as the title indicated, today we're going to talk about days on market. Days on market, as we discussed earlier, is one of the market indicators that we typically use when we're evaluating real estate markets, or particularly real estate markets, residential in particular. So, as we discussed, but I guess last week sometimes, we typically, outside of sales price and the sales price trend, we typically use five different indicators. Days on market, which we'll talk about today, list to sale ratio, percentage of REO transactions. What was the other one? Percentage of REO transactions, supply, and meaning how many properties are actually available. And the last one is I forget it right now, but it'll come to me later. Anyway, if you don't remember, or if you need to, if it's really important, look on past videos. It's there. Okay, so we're talking about days on market today. Days on market really simply is just that. Days on market is basically the time it takes a property to go on market to actually find a willing and able buyer. Now that's really important. Willing and able is really important. Okay, because it's cool to be able to say, yes, I'd love to buy your house, but not have the finances to do it. Or it's cool to say, you know, I've got the finances, but I don't really like your house. That happens a lot too. So days on market is really important. So basically what it comes down to is, you can think of it like this. What is the time it takes from a property to go active in the local MLS to pending? That is kind of days on market, because when a property's MLS status is changed to pending, buyer has been found and they've agreed upon terms. They've agreed upon sales price and all the other terms associated with the selling of the property. Okay, so as an indicator, as with anything, I'm sure you can probably understand this. As the days on market, or the time it takes to find the able and willing buyer, goes up, that means the market is probably going more towards a buyer's market. Okay, the shorter the days on market, obviously that's the seller's market. Okay, we just recently, and we're kind of coming out of a seller's market right now. We have really low inventory, and there just weren't a lot of houses available. So what that meant was home sellers were able to say, hey, look, we got a property, we're going to price it at, say, $100,000. And as soon as they put the property on the market, within 10 days or 5 days, or in some markets even 2 days, they had 4 or 5 different offers to choose from. Okay, that is a really low marketing time, or days on market. Typical marketing time should be closer to 90 days. We haven't seen that in a really long time, though, to be honest, at least here in the state of Michigan. For a property to be marketed about 90 days, that means that market or that property is probably have some challenges. Even in some of our less active markets, a marketing time of 90 days is pretty extraordinary. That said, and this is the key here, remember one of the things I told you last week, it really doesn't really matter what that actual number is today. It's how that number is in comparison to how it used to be. So for instance, in my hometown of the Plymouth County, Northville area, our marketing time typically is about 15 to 20 days. Okay, and that's including 3 of the larger cities within like 2 miles of where I'm standing right now. Okay, so 20 days is not very long. It's pretty reasonable, right? Now, that would be fine, but imagine if you were a homeowner and you're listing your property, and you're thinking that it's going to be sold within 20 days, but let's say it takes, I don't know, 40 days, because for whatever reason that's how long it's taking now. And as you can probably tell, that's going to, because again, you're taking what's typically expected for a given market. Okay. Now, in using my example before, last year, the typical days on market in our market, in my market here, was not about 20 days, but it was probably closer to 10. So that means that the marketing time has actually doubled. The time it takes to sell a property in this market has probably actually doubled. So even though that tells me as an appraiser, that tells me that this market is actually slowing down. It's still significantly slower than the typical 90 days that you see in a traditional stable market, but it is slowing down. It is taking longer to get a property sold. So that's how we would use days on market as one of our market indicators and one of the tools we use to determine the direction of the market in general. Hope that helps. Talk to you later.